Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and I'm going to be making a few videos on Unibet 25NL, mostly morning sessions because I'm struggling to fill my time during the mornings. Sky doesn't work for me in the mornings, it's just very hit or miss, especially through the week. There's no traffic on there. I'm not going to play something like Poker Stars or Party Poker because it's just full of like pretty tight bad games, and I'm not knocking those guys for being tight because that's precisely what this series is going to be about. And we're kind of avoiding Triple Eight for the time being because there's only really offers snap options, and I'm trying to make more like regular table videos and encouraging people to consider regular tables over fast fold. We're going to fold these eights to that big squeeze. So the purpose of this series is going to be hopefully demonstrating that it's for many inexperienced, weaker players, describe them however you will, losing players, that it's just absolutely fine to play pretty damn tight poker. And in most instances, for most players, it's just absolutely the right thing to do. As we take down the pot with the queens. Many guys come to me and they're losing at poker. Many of them losing at poker quite significantly. And I look at the stats and the same with the database, and they're just playing way too loose for where their like post-flop skills are right now. They're just losing at poker, but they're still trying to play this 22/18 with a 6% 3-bet style and all those types of things, and they're trying to run before they can walk. And one of the things I often say to people is if you're doing it right, poker is meant to be boring a lot of the time. It's just the way it is. You know, there's not that many really super playable hands, there's not that many really profitable hands, and most of the time you're going to be bored when you're playing No Limit Hold'em. That's just how it's going to be. And that's why we had a couple more tables to make it a bit more interesting and all those things. So this series is going to be titled Poker is Boring. And we're going to be playing mostly morning sessions. I'm going to try and record as many of my morning sessions on Unibet as possible. For it, I just run €150 on. And it's a very good chance we might go broke because I don't play on Unibet very much because Sky is just the place to be. But I throw €150 on, and we're just going to like try and make some videos. There's a good chance to go broke, but there's also a very good chance that we just run the bankroll up. So yeah, so you can see from the start where we're at. We've got, if we just cancel that off, we've got a net of €173 right now. So there's a very real chance that we go busto, but there's also a very real chance that within a couple of weeks we're up to €400 or €500 quite easily. And we're going to do it, we're going to play the whole, every session, by just playing super solid, tight poker. We're not going to be defending wide to 3-bets. We're not going to be 3-betting wide. We're not going to be doing like super elaborate moves. We're just going to try and play solid hands and then try and play them sensibly post-flop. Now, it might be that we're doing some bluffing post-flop and things like that, of course, because that's part of the game. But we're going to base our entire strategy in the entire series on just playing incredibly solid starting hands pre-flop and then going from there, because that's the way I teach people to play when they first come to me. I'm just going to fold this ace queen to this donk bet, check back the 2 jacks, raise the 2 aces, of course. So if you're like an already like intermediate type player who like watches my videos, this isn't going to be for you really, because that should have been an open, by the way, with the a6. I wasn't concentrating. This really isn't going to be for you. This is more going to be aimed at the players who really are just struggling to make any money, who are just constantly losing at poker. And we're going to try and teach people how to play tight and demonstrate that you can play tight and still make money in these games. We're going to have some thin value here with the 2 jacks, and if we get raised, we're going to be a little bit angry and fold, but whatever. So yeah, if you want to watch people play, I mean, I'm not the loosest player anyway, you guys already know that. But if you're wanting to see people, or you want to see me open the button wide, or 3-bet wide, or open wide from the small blind, you're not going to see any of those things. We're going to avoid we're going to talk about playing tight and avoiding a lot of the pitfalls that you guys are falling into through forcing yourselves to play tighter than you're probably comfortable with. We're going to demonstrate that we can play tight and still get the job done. Playing tight or not, ace queen suited is a super standard 3-bet versus anybody. Blind versus blind. We can just call there, but I think 3-betting is easily the best play. I'm going to be turning down quite a few spots that I would normally take up in my games. Like, for example, I'm not going to be opening things like 10-9 suited under the gun, 10-8 suited from middle position, which I normally do. We're going to play a really basic, boring, tight style, and we're going to make it work, hopefully. We're going to make it work. So normally we could think about calling or 3-betting with this hand, but we're just not going to. C-bet the King 10. And we're actually going to leave this table now on the top one. It's not good for us. Playing heads up is not going to be what we're wanting to do. This is the second time this guy's check raised me on a wettish board. We obviously can't fold the open ender. Last time he checked the turn on a brick. This time he's barreling the turn on. That's probably quite good for his overall range. So we're going to make a very, very disciplined fold here. If the 10 was offsuit, then I probably would have continued. But the red 10, it's not good. Even when we make our straight, we might end up just paying off sometimes when we make our straight. So we'll make a very disciplined fold. I'm going to try and get a table back up in a minute. We are struggling a little bit for traffic this morning on Unibet. There's only currently 34 players in the pool, so not the easiest thing to get on a bunch of tables. So yeah, please, if you're in the videos, if you're watching, please don't waste your time telling me, oh, you should open that from this position, you should do this, you should do that. Because the entire point of this series is to aim very much at players that are really struggling to win. And if you're the kind of player who thinks it's good to advise losing players to play loose aggressive or like loose poker, then you're just wrong, I'm afraid. There's no other way to describe it. These videos aren't aimed at people who are already winning and try to help them eke out some extra big blinds per 100. This is very much about teaching players who are losing to just kind of play much tighter pre-flop and try and get the job done post-flop. So don't bother wasting your time telling me that should have been an open, this should have been an open, that should have been a defend, because you're just not going to get my attention with it. I'm going to bomb this just to get that max value from an ace. King 7. And max value from the king too. Small c-bet with the king jack. Just try and get our opponent to fold any equity he might have. We're not trying to make him fold an ace, of course, but just kind of the old-fashioned collect dead money, get players to fold equity, all that type of thing. And we don't have to bet big when we're doing that, because we're not trying to get someone to fold a real hand. If you're not trying to get someone to fold a real hand or a good hand, and you're trying to get them to fold bits and pieces of equity they may have, then we clearly don't need to make large bets. We just quite simply have no choice but to defend versus this min 3-bet. It's a pretty bad hand we've got here, ace deuce, but we just can't fold for the min 3-bet. And then when he bets his flop, no matter what side he uses, I think we're just going to fold. Yeah, we've got a good shot, but not super thrilled with the situation. Let the 6-5 go to the 3x on the button. Playing suited connectors out of position, especially versus wide ranges where you're not super likely to get paid off if you make your hand. It's a good way that many players can lose money. Now 5-6 suited might well be a defend for lots of skilled players, but if you're a lower skilled player, then I think it's advisable just to let it go. Same with the ace-5 suited. I would very often 3-bet that hand, but in line with the concept of the series, we're going to be letting it go. But it could easily be a 3-bet. So I'm not going to keep saying what we could do, because again, we've already made the point that we're going to turn down a lot of spots that more advanced players take. We're not going to be taking a lot of those spots. We're going to try and demonstrate that you can ignore those spots, and that maybe it's better to ignore those spots when you're going to end up getting yourself in lots of tricky spots post-flop that you're not yet equipped to deal with. This is going to be all about building from the bottom up, this series. Playing super tight and just hopefully getting the job done. Not the worst flop in the world for ace-10 suited up on table 2. Versus a half-pot c-bet. We're very much obliged to continue and at least see a turn. Backdoor diamonds could very easily have the best hand. Bets again half pot. The queen is absolutely no use to us whatsoever. We might be folding the best hand here, but if we are, fair play to him. That's just the advantage of position. No big deal. Two fours on the queen, 7-7. Just going to take a shot. Hope he folds. Just like if he's just got a hand like, I don't know, Jack 10 or something, just get him to fold his equity. He min raises, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. He shouldn't really have a raising range on the board this dry, but he has raised. We just have 2 fours. Not a lot we're going to be able to do about it. Let the hand go. I'm not going to get too hung up on the fact. Again, that's 2 hands now where we may have been being bluffed. But both times we've had like really quite weak equity versus the range, so it's no big deal. If we had had like pocket 8s there, I think we could probably consider calling. But pocket 4 is just going to get counterfeited so often on the queen 7-7 board that it's just really dicey to continue. Looks like this player's a fish, given that he's gone for the min 3-bet. Blind versus blind. Again, We have no choice but to defend with this hand. And we're probably just going to fold this flop when he c-bets. Sorry, they had to pause the video. I had a mini sneezing fit coming on, and I got told off the other day for drinking tea. So if I'm going to get told off for drinking tea, I'm certainly going to get told off for sneezing. I flop top pair against two players on table 1. Backdoor flush draw 2. Bet the flop. And we take it down. This would normally be an open for me from middle position, but we're going to fold it here. Keep checking the 8-9. The queen's not really that good for us, and it's just a pretty bad run out for the 8-9. And he just checks back 10-jack 3 times, which I think is pretty weak from him. I think he needs to be finding a bet at some point with that hand. Probably the flop to begin with, I would imagine. But he didn't. And let the 8-5 off go. Yeah, we're getting great odds, getting that 6-1 pre-flop, but it's 8-5 off suit, so who gives a fuck? One of the beauties of Unibet, if you guys are considering playing here, for losing inexperienced players, is you can do exactly what I'm doing. You can have up to 5 aliases. You can have 4 different aliases at the table at any one time, or 5 different aliases if you want to play 5 tables, which I wouldn't recommend if you're a losing player. Playing 5 tables as a losing player just seems bonkers to me. I know some guys are out there doing it, but it's if you're a losing player, you should be playing less tables and focus on the quality of your play rather than playing more tables and just effectively increasing your hourly loss rate. But yeah, if we're going to want to play a Unibet, you can play 4 different aliases, 5 different aliases, and you can get away with playing really tight because no one's going to twig on to that you're playing that tight. You can change your aliases. You can change 3 every day, so you can come on every day, and if you're playing 2 or 3 tables, you can be a different person every day to people. So even those guys that are cheating and using tracking software in some way, they're quite simply never going to twig onto you. They're never going to be able to adjust to you. They're never going to be able to avoid paying you off when you have good hands because you've got the previous information. Obviously, if you're playing on a site like PokerStars or Triple Eight or somewhere where we have HUD stats, and your HUD stats are running at like 17-13 with a 3% 3-bet or whatever, you are going to find it hard to get paid off by some of the better players. But if you're running 17-13 with a 3% 3-bet here on Unibet, then it's not going to hurt you at all because no one's ever really going to figure out that's what you're doing. Because no one's, even the cheats, they're not going to get more than a few hundred hands on you. So, yeah, it's a good place to play. If you do want to kind of be a stealth nit, then Unibet's as good a place as any to be that person. 9-10 suited, almost raced there. It's definitely a hand I would usually race, but we're not going to be doing it here. Certainly not now the big blind's gone. The big blind's a fish at this table. It's royal, for sure. But he also doesn't have many chips, so 10-9 suited goes down way in value against people that don't have many chips in front of them. We are going to defend the 10-jack suited up here on table 3, or down here on table 3, should I say. Completely break. No tricks here, just check fold. He doesn't bet that board. I think he just has nothing a lot of the time. So we're going to start with a small bet, and if he calls, we're going to make a much larger bet on the river. So as I said earlier, even though we're playing tighter ranges and we're not really getting involved in like pre-flop bluffs and that type of thing, like weak, loose pre-flop 3-bets, we're not doing any of that stuff. That doesn't mean that we're not going to be attacking weak ranges post-flop. We're still going to be doing all of those things. We're just going to be doing it from a much stronger starting point. We were going to play the 9-8 suited from the cutoff for an open. Normally I would consider 3-betting in this situation, but we have 2 potentially fishy players behind us, so we're just going to call and take a flop. Or try to, hope we don't get squeezed. And again, flop is absolutely no use to us. It's tempting to jam versus just squeeze with 9s. Very tempting to jam. Not going to. I think we're either flipping there or we're crushed. And in line with the trying to be disciplined side of the video, we'll let it go. I could certainly be persuaded that back raise jamming there is absolutely fine. Well, I'm very confident it's absolutely fine, but we just don't need to do it. So we're not going to. Might be an idea for you guys for the rest of the videos going forward, because there is going to be obviously way less talking points when we're playing way tighter, to watch these videos back on double speed or 1.5x speed or whatever. Normally, again, 7-4 suited versus this size I would defend, but in keeping with the video we're going to fold and just stay out of spots that end up being too difficult out of position for losing players. Personally, I think I'm fine in that situation. I think I can negotiate post flop just fine there. But we're not. We're going to be doing what I would advise losing players to do. I'm going to make this video as if I am a struggling losing microstakes player. We're going to 3-bet the ace queen here and just sigh and get it in if J was to jam. I also advise losing players to muck small to medium pairs under the gun in these games. Some people think that's controversial. I don't think it's remotely controversial. If you are a losing player, then trying to play baby pairs from the one hole is going to cause you quite a lot of pain and discomfort. Ace 10 off suit versus a cut-off open is going to be a defend. So here we have the good shot there at the backdoor flush draw. Definitely potential check raise opportunity when he doesn't bet again, which is going to go with our bet line. We sometimes get owned by a jack here that just calls twice. But I'll deal with that. The jack probably isn't going to call twice now on this run out. I'm actually going to go for like a slight overbet here. If he doesn't have, like, we block king 10 for a start, we block 10-8, that type of thing. I just think he's going to fold a lot of 2 pairs and 1 pair stands. He doesn't have much. He checks back the flop. He just calls a half pot turn lead. I think that line's completely fine. And check by this turn. We don't have a 3 street hand. We don't want to get owned by 10x here by getting raised and folding. We don't want to get owned by any draws this turn. We're just going to check back. Probably call the river. We're certainly going to call versus that sizing. As you can see, all we're trying to do in this video is stay out of trouble. Like, steal when we need to with our hands that need to steal. We're not going to get excessive with the stealing. And we're just trying to stay out of trouble. If any of you guys have been watching like the main event lately, or like the super high rollers and things like that, you've seen a lot of these like good high stakes players just making small bets and raises, not massively bloating pots with a whole wide variation of hands, and they're effectively just playing pretty solid poker. Yeah, they're playing looser than I'm playing here. Excuse me, but the principles are still the same. They're not bloating pots. They're not getting massively out of line post flop. When they are getting out of line, they're usually doing it against guys with like capped or weak ranges, and that's all we're going to do. But we're going to do it from like a slightly stronger range of starting hands, and then you can build on that as you go. If you start to actually become a winning player, and you get more confident post flop, once you start to build your post flop confidence, you can start introducing some extra pre-flop hands. But what isn't good for you as a poker player is if you're losing money on a regular basis, but you're still trying to play like 25% of hands and things. Because you're going to be putting yourself in way too many spots that you're just not equipped to deal with, and you're going to be putting yourself in way too many tough spots. And avoiding tough spots when you're not very good at poker is a sensible thing to do, of course. It's super logical, it's super sensible, but so many people just don't. They need to be told that something needs to trigger that in their mind, because they just think they know that to win at poker you've got to play at loose aggressive. You've got to be in there betting, raising, bluffing, etc. And it's just not true. And you should be, a lot of the time when you're a losing player, you should be trying to protect your money. You should be like playing a defensive, tight defensive style rather than like a loose, aggressive style. And check back the queens here. Don't think we have 3 streets anymore. We might get called by ace high on the river. We might prompt someone to bet pocket 7s on the river, that type of thing. If he checks, we're certainly going to bet. Try and get paid off by ace high. Which we did. King 6, normally an incredibly standard open, but you don't need to be opening it. If you're a losing player, you do not need to be opening King 6 suited from the button. It's going to probably put you in some spots. Good, yeah, the steal just prints money overall. But if you're not good and you're like spewing money post-flop, then it doesn't take very long for that pre-flop profit from this, the profit you get from this deal, to be eroded. 7-6 suited from the cutoff. I think we need to be playing that. Even though King 6 suited is infinitely stronger, or not infinite, but a lot stronger than 7-6 suited in terms of like absolute strength. In terms of post-flop playability, 7-6 suited just has a lot more playability. So I'm aware that we just folded a stronger hand on the button than we are from the cutoff. But 7-6 suited just has way more playability post flop, and you're not gonna get in anywhere near as many like weird spots with it as you are with a hand like King 6. Again, Jack 8 in absolute terms much weaker than King 6. But in playability terms, has way more playability. And then check back the Jack 8. We're going to raise versus this sizing, and then probably check back the river. We're going to raise here to get value from 10x draws, that type of thing. And look to check back a lot of rivers if he checks to us. If he bets this river, we're probably just going to fold, unless he bets too small. And then we're just going to check back. And we got value from the 6-9. Pretty interesting spot here with the jacks. We have an overpair, we have an open ender. We clearly can't fold, but I think we get it in here. We get it in pretty bad a lot of the time versus 2 pairs, sets and things. So we're just going to call and see a turn. Feels like a good turn for us. We're now ahead of 10-9. We've improved to a flush draw 2. And now we're not ahead of 10-9 again. I don't think we would necessarily just raise 10x on the flop though. I'm not really sure what to do in this spot. I think it's going to depend on his sizing. Wow, he just turned the flush and didn't bet it. Either street. That seems bonkers. Oh, so he raises the flush draw. Doesn't bet the turn. I guess he has to check back the river. I guess. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't, but... yeah. We dodged some bullets there. 5-8 Jack Rainbow. Just make a really small c-bet. We get raised. We're probably just going to jam. Jack's not an ideal turn card. You don't necessarily have a jack. You can just have lots of things like pocket 7s, pocket 9s, pocket 10s. But we're going to start by checking. If he does have a jack here, by the way, he's just probably going to double through us if he bets it. And then we've got to think, what does his range look like? It doesn't look like he has a jack. I don't think this player has a full house. I think we can bet pretty small, like maybe €3.50 so, and just fold to a raise. He's not going to be bluffing here if he raises the river very often, but we can get called by pocket queens, pocket tens, that type of thing. Ace king, call 2. I didn't think it would, but it can. Time to get lucky, and we didn't. See about our gut shot and backdoor flush draw on table 3. Seven isn't a great barrel card, but he called so quickly. I think he's not super likely to have a queen. If he is, it's a weak queen. Probably just going to triple barrel here, given that we've got the good shot. Now we don't need to because we've hit the 9. The plan here was just to go bet, and I was going to like maybe over bet here to try and get him off a hand like 8x or so like 7, 10, 7, 8, sorry 10, 8, that type of thing. We simply don't need to bluff anymore. It's going to be a shame if he has a queen, but whatever. He's had the ace 8. So I think the over bet on the river would have probably worked there. Which was plan A. Plan A was over bet the river. Given that he check called so quickly on the flop. It's like he didn't even consider raising. And I think players that aren't reloading will probably fish. Some players would consider raising, like top pair there. So when he doesn't consider raising, the thoughts were that he's probably on some kind of either draw or like weaker made hand. So I think we can just go bet small, over bet versus those types of ranges and get a ton of folds. But once we hit the 9, then I think I just jumped ahead of an awful lot of the stuff that was check calling me. So we don't need to bluff anymore. So we abandoned plan A because the situation changed and we went with plan B. Probably going to play till an hour, then call it a day. About 20 odd more minutes. And I'm only going to play on Unibet during the mornings. But I'm going to try and record pretty much all of those sessions. I won't be recording Thursday's session because the wife will be at home and she's just too noisy. She does weird stuff like puts a telly on or what have you, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. So it's probably going to be like 3 videos, including this one, coming out over the next 4 days. Maybe another one on Monday. I tend not to make videos over the weekend. I just don't have the time. There's more things going on around me, so yep. I'm going to call this bottom pair with a good shot on table 1. Excuse me. not thinking of calling here, I'm thinking of raising, but again, that's not in line with what we're trying to achieve in the video, so we won't. I don't think it's a worse spot to raise there. He probably doesn't have a 3 very often. Maybe he has a flush and just owns us, but if he doesn't have a flush, I think we just get it through a ton of the time. But we're trying to make the video and demonstrate how it's still easy to make money whilst avoiding all the weird spots and pitfalls that people can get into. So we didn't do it. We're just avoiding tough spots, guys. That's the plan. Cut off, we'd open the 8-10. Middle position, we're folding it. This weird 9 character. I don't think he's a particularly good player. He's clearly irregular. He's playing at 3 tables of ours, so 4 tables. I don't think he's a particularly good regular, but he's clearly irregular. If you're playing on Unibet and you're not taking advantage of the fact you can have different ages, different tables, I've said this many times, I'm going to say it again, it means one of 2 things. Either you're a cheat and you're using tracking software, so you need to use the same alias all the time, or you just don't understand just how valuable it is to that be fully anonymous. I usually view these types of players as people who are either bad regulars or the cheats. It's one or the other. There's no third option really. Ace-10 would often be an open due to this player's stack size, but it's not super playable out of position, so we're not going to bother. Pocket 6 is my easily the best hand here, but it's been really hard to get to showdown profitably, so we're just going to let them go again, just avoiding tough spots. That spot just gets progressively tougher the further down the street you get by check calling, so we can identify this isn't a great situation for us, so let's just cut our losses. Yep, you're going to be overfolding in some spots, but if you're a losing player that's losing a lot of money, I would suggest that overfolding in a few spots is probably a better thing for you to be doing right now than to be calling too often. You need to defend the Queen 8 versus the min raise. Flop a flush draw. We're going to be using this hand to semi-bluff with. Either by raising or by betting versus checks. We turn the open ender, so we're going to just keep blasting away. Well, not blasting because we're only betting small, because again, at this point we're not trying to get him to fold a jack or something, we're just trying to like build the pressure on 6x, 7x, ace high, that type of thing, with a view to potentially like bombing the river on bricks and when we make our hand. A bet small here just for a little bit of value, a little bit of protection. This could certainly be a 3-bet, this ace-8 suited. Again, we're not going to take the opportunity, but it could absolutely 100% be a 3-bet. It could also be a call if you think the blinds aren't super squeeze happy. Ooh, we completed the challenge. Go us. Good for us. Probably pretty worthless with my volume, but nevertheless, it's progress. See, bet the good shot on the ace, queen, queen. He raises, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Again, not really sure what hand we want to raise on this board. Good players don't raise this board in position. They just flat with their entire range. It's really easy fold for us just with the gut shot. Just like so hard to balance that. Like, what bluffs does he have there? Or what good quality bluffs does he have? I mean, he can be bluffing, but like, what reasonable bluffs can he have? Just almost none. If he's raising an ace, he's a bit of a moron. If he's raising a queen, why? I guess to get value from an ace, but big deal. Is he really going to get tons of value from an ace by raising the flop and going bet bet? Seems unlikely. Just feels like it's a bad raise from him, but he won the pot, so I guess he's happy with the situation. Both hollow penny and we have shown a propensity to squeeze or to 3-bet pre. So this calls less good because I think we are going to get squeezed some of the time, but I don't think we should be turning down the opportunity to set mine on the button too often. That's a top pair, top kicker on like the absolute like textbook dry flop. However you want to describe a dry flop, the King 7-3 rainbow is about as good as you're going to get for describing one. We're getting time back by the same guy on 2 tables. I'm not going to be folding on either. So yeah, as the video starts to draw to a close, as you can see, this video has lived up to like the title of the series, Poker is Boring. I make no apologies for that. It's kind of, I didn't want to like produce a video that had no action, but of course, when you're making videos that are kind of designed to encourage players to like try and avoid getting themselves in tough situations and play it a little bit tighter than they're maybe used to, then of course you're going to produce videos that have less action. It's completely logical that that's going to be what you're producing. So yep, I make no apologies for it being boring. The title is Poker is Boring, so it's kind of the clues in the title. But hopefully the guys that are struggling to make poker pay will stick with it, because hopefully over the course of time, over the course of maybe 4, 5, 6 videos, we can demonstrate that despite playing like really boring, tight, disciplined poker, you know, we can still make money. And hopefully it'll help you guys, teach some of you guys to or encourage some of you guys to change your game and to make the step from being like losing or break even into actually being a winning player. I'm not saying you have to play tight forever. That isn't the premise of the series, isn't the premise of this video. The premise is, if you're losing, play much, much tighter. Avoid a lot of the stupid spots that you get yourself into by playing much tighter pre-flop. And just avoiding tough spots. It's good advice to players who struggle. Just avoid tough spots. That don't play hands that routinely put you in tough spots. Don't play them for now. Get used to playing stronger ranges. Get used to playing those stronger ranges better post-flop, and then as you improve, reintroduce some of the weaker hands, because hopefully by then you'll be more equipped to play them. Poker's going nowhere. You don't have to just instantly be 26-22 with a 9% 3-bet. You don't need to be that now. That might be your end goal. This might be where you want to be. You might want to be a 30/25 with a 12% zoom, like 500 zoom crusher. That might be your end goal, but if you're losing money right now, that isn't where you should be right now. You should be, I'd say almost every single player who's losing money, the best advice to them, unless they're already incredibly tight, would be play tighter, avoid tough spots, respect position, respect aggression, all of those things. All those things that make poker really fucking boring is what you should be doing if you actually want to be a winning player and you're a losing player. if you just want to have fun with poker, then I'm guessing you won't even have got this far in the video. But if you want to actually make money at poker, then just start respecting ranges, start respecting position, definitely start respecting aggression, as we're going to do here with the ace-jack suited. And just be disciplined, be super disciplined, and be bored when you're playing. Because if you ain't bored, there's a good chance that you ain't doing it right. Certainly, if you are not bored when you're playing, but you're losing money on a regular basis, it's almost certainly you're not doing what's best for you in terms of being a profitable poker player. Yeah, I think we'll start sitting out of tables now. I need to go and spend some time with family. Three bet the ace king here with like almost absolutely no intention of folding it. And you do want to be making your three bets much larger out of position, especially when you're doing it with a much tighter range. Just make it much larger. Either take the pot down pre-flop, which is going to be fine with ace king pre-flop out of position, or force your opponent to pay a super large premium to stay in the pot with you and have the advantage of position. Go, we're letting the ace jack go, we're letting the six jack go. We've got like one hand to play left in the video. As you can see, we started with €150. I played a few hands before the session, just getting things set up, waiting, etc. So we didn't show all the profit, but we've now got what it's at, €170. So I've made €20 in about maybe an hour and 20 minutes. I'm not saying we're always going to do that, of course. I'm not saying you can make €20 an hour in these games. That's not what I'm saying. But we just haven't been in trouble. We were forced to flip once with ace king versus queens, and apart from that, we just haven't been in any tough spots whatsoever. Has it been boring? Yeah, it has been a bit boring. Is it going to be boring when, hopefully, this time next week my bankrolls on €250 or whatever, after just maybe 8 hours play, therefore making whatever, like €7-8 an hour, then yeah, it probably still will be boring, but it's not going to be as boring as just constantly having to redeposit and reload. Tell you what is boring. Boring's being skin. Boring's being busto. Boring's always reloading. That's what's boring. Playing tight poker is boring too, but it's nowhere near as boring as the alternative. So I hope you guys have got something from this video. It's not the most exciting. The next one won't be either, and the one after that won't be. But if you are losing play, I would genuinely encourage you to stick with it, and hopefully we can demonstrate just how to get the job done. Bye-bye for now.